My first audio interface ever. Can you see it? Yeah, it's right here. Let me just unplug all of these cables. So yeah, here it is. It's Lexicon Omega. As you can see, it's worn off a little bit. I've had this thing since 2013 and I've been using it until like 2017. And even though it was so crappy, I just love this thing. It can record 4 channels simultaneously. It has 2 XLR microphone inputs and 4 line inputs. Traditionally 2 line outs, MIDI in and MIDI out, so that was a great feature. And SPDIF in and out if you wanted to connect another digital device to record from. The nice feature was it had 1 insert port, so you could loop vocal or guitar effects, but I haven't been using it honestly. It looks like a kind of a small fridge with knobs. I liked the tower design of this thing. There is also a smaller one, which is Lexicon Lambda, and it looks similar, and Lexicon Alpha, which was the smallest one without phantom power. But I've decided to buy the most expensive one. And you may be thinking, why did I choose that interface, which was released in like 2004 over Focusrite and stuff like that, which were already out on the market in 2013. In that time, as my technical audio knowledge was pretty little, I didn't know what those were. And if you don't know what those are combo XLR jack inputs. They are both XLR and jack inputs at the same time. You can just choose what you are going to plug in. And here you have separate XLR inputs and separate line inputs. So basically I thought those combo jack inputs are some modern technology inputs that I cannot use because I don't have that kind of weird cables with this hole in the middle. But yeah, we all make mistakes. Here is a blue light. It's indicating it's turned on right now. So on the front panel you had those LED indicators showing the level of the signal. You could choose between stereo and mono mode depending on what you were about to record. You had these USB assign buttons which were switching the red and the green light. This interface has 2 USB buses. This means it can send 2 stereo signals or 4 mono signals at once, as I told you before. So on that panel you are choosing if you want this to be 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. That's simple. The good thing about it was you could plug in like 4 line inputs at once and have 2 microphones plugged in at once. And just select what you are about to record. For example, in Focusrite 2i2 you would have to unplug the jacks to plug in the microphones. That's just a small advantage right here. At the front of it there is an instrument input for your guitars, basses, stuff like that. It was bridged with the line 3 input, so if you are plugging a guitar, the line input number 3 was out of order. Classic quarter jack headphone output, and that's it, and the SPDIF assign, which I weren't using because I wasn't using SPDIF. The sad thing about this piece of gear was that it had really small buffer. Even if you were setting it 128 samples was usually making a little bit of noise if you had a bigger session. So 256 samples was an optimal size of a buffer for this thing. I had the i5 computer with 4 gigs of RAM in that time in 2013. So it should be working super fine, but I don't know if this thing has USB 2.0 or 1.1 because originally these interfaces were USB 1.1. It seems like it's pretty slow. So I had a lot of juggling with the buffer sizes. I had to change it lots of times and it was really frustrating. The second bad thing about it, it needs to be powered. So you can't just plug it into your laptop and get it powered from the USB. It has a pretty big power supply, so there was no option to record something outside, some ambient sounds, anything. This thing right here was pretty interesting. This is the direct and playback monitor mix knob. Here you could be hearing everything that's coming directly to the interface, so the DI signal from the guitar or microphone, and here you would be hearing the playback. So you could hear the 2 things at the same time, which is not possible in most of the interfaces nowadays, you have a monitor mix button, but not the knob. Here you could tweak a percentage of direct signal and percentage of the playback signal. The biggest disadvantage of this thing, the quality of the potentiometers here. They were cracking, they were making so much noise that you couldn't move this thing if you had your monitors turned up. Making that kind of minor tweaks were making like so it was a pain to my ears. And on a lower volume levels, the left channel or the right channel, depending on how I plugged in the monitors, was quieter than the right channel. So if you touched the potentiometer, it was probably broken inside, and it started to do things like that after like 1 year. You were hearing one channel at the time and you touched it and you heard two channels. So it was pretty messed up. The last bad thing about this trusty piece of gear was it was overheating. It was like really hot. I wouldn't expect a plastic thing like this getting this hot. So in order to deal with this problem, I opened it after the warranty. I screwed some pieces of metal to the transistors so the heat was distributed in a more efficient way. So, is this interface a way to go in 2020? Definitely not, but I am still using it to record audio coming out from my interface as I'm recording the cookup vlogs or the Reaper beat grinding tutorial series. So I still find it at least a little bit useful. That's all for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like this episode, you know what to do. My name is Dominik, you've been watching Wodzu Beats, and keep the good vibes alive.